On a lovely wet day in London. Joining me now from Washington, D.C. is Patrick Tucker, a futurologist and author. And in Leicester, Mike Simpson from the university's new Department of Transtemporal Studies. Its homepage appeared online today to coincide with Back to the Future Day. Mike Simpson, let's get the ties out of the way first. Talk us through your outfit.
Well, I'm very pleased to see that. I'm pleased to see you've gone very retro today, wearing an old 1980s style single tie. Very good.
Yes.
Yes, in the future, they said we'd all be wearing double ties, so why not?
Well, why not indeed? I have to confess that I was a student at Leicester University once. It was never as much fun as it clearly is today.
Well, we like to be at the cutting edge of modern technology, and you can't be more cutting edge than slightly in the future.
Indeed. Patrick Tucker, let's talk about what they got right and what they got wrong. Talk us through all that.
Well, so the film broadcasts or forecasts of a wide variety of different breakthroughs that transform life, and the ones that they got right, this is interesting, all have to do with information technology making huge leaps and bounds, and that shows up in a couple of different ways. There's a point where Marty McFly has a conversation with his boss and also with a coworker. It occurs over a medium that looks a lot like Skype, but the bandwidth is enormous. The resolution is crystal clear. There's no fuzzy sort of, getting in and out the way, today we use Skype. So what they saw in many ways was that information technology would give you the opportunity to have a telecommunication with somebody on the other side of the world. What they didn't foresee is that A, we would stop using faxes, and B, we would use that service to create entirely new forms of content. We would use it to create Facebook and Twitter. They imagined the internet sort of the way, in many ways, the Japanese imagined it in the 80s as just a way to communicate simply between two kind of corporate entities and to exchange large amounts of bits. But how we would exchange those bits, they didn't foresee. They also get right drones, but this is also a math problem. It's an information technology problem. What they missed, of course, is we don't really have hoverboards as they portray them in the movie. Magnetic levitation is very difficult. And we also don't have rehydratable food. We don't have a lot of the things that they have. But in those aspects where they see a big breakthrough coming from advances in information technology, these are the ones that came true.
Mike Simpson, pick out some of your aspects of this film that you feel were right and wrong and why they matter.
Well, the faxes is a perfect example. You can only predict the future by extrapolating from the present. So how would we communicate? We'd have bigger and better faxes. It's kind of like the person in Victorian times who said, my goodness, by the year 1970, London will be 3 feet deep in horse poo. You can't predict the inventions that are going to come along. But on the other hand, when you're making a movie, and a fun movie, you can have so much fun and say, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had self-lacing shoes, we had hoverboards, we had dehydratable pizzas? So they can have tremendous fun there, which is slightly different to what real scientists have got to actually sort of predict.
Yeah, but I mean, the point you get at is right, isn't it, in terms of our constant fascination with time travel, how good it works, how well it works at the cinema, because as you say, you can't be proven wrong, can you?
You can't. I mean, the great thing about predicting, particularly if you predict far enough in the future, is by the time it comes along, usually everybody's forgotten what you said. Unfortunately for Robert Zemeckis, he made a film so good that 30 years later we all still remember it and we can go, ha-ha, pizza!
Patrick Tucker, take us forward in that case. I mean, if they were making that film today and we're looking at 2045, I wonder what they'd start to include.
Well, so today we continue to have this conversation about magnetic levitation, not towards hoverboards, but towards trains. So if you were to remake that today, surely there would be a hyperloop. There may be some forms of atomic teleportation, not so much of people, but of different materials and things like this. And you would most importantly, I think, continue to see these enormous breakthroughs in information technology resulting in ever faster, ever more capable computers capable of doing more things. So surely you would see a big presence of artificial intelligence in a lot of ways. You would probably see more menacing drones. And when we talk about this tonal shift in the way we discuss the future, going from light to dark, in many ways, artificial intelligence is kind of the turning point for that. We have a lot of very mixed feelings about how smart computers have become. In the 1980s, as portrayed in this movie, it's broadly a positive trend, but now we've begun to feel a little bit out of control. And so I think that's probably what you would see in a 2045 version of Back to the Future.
Okay, well, we'll maybe have you back in 30 years' time and see if you were right. Mike Simpson, I need to quiz you a little bit more closely on the Department of Transtemporal Studies at Leicester University, because a little birdie tells me that this might not be quite as serious as you were making out initially.
Oh, heaven forfend. Well, it's not actually, we haven't actually got one yet, but we'd like to think we would have one in the future, and if we do, we'll look really, really prescient, having set up the website for it in 2015.
Right, so the website's up, is it? But the department's a little bit behind?
Yeah, let's say it's under development. But we'll come up with something in about 20 years, and then just send all the staff back 20 years, and they're probably waiting for us there now.
Right. And students presumably are about to be signed up as well. It's all in the wrong order, this, isn't it?
Well, the great thing about a degree in time travel studies is that you'll be able to find out what sort of qualification you get at the end right from your first year.
I really don't. Yes, I think I've exhausted this line of questioning. It's very good to have you both on. Thank you both very much indeed. Mike Simpson there with his 2 ties in Leicester. Patrick Tucker, open neck shirt in Washington, D.C. Thank you both very much indeed.
Yep.
Just the one tie here as we head to the weather forecast and Matt Taylor.